Hi everyone, we're here today to speak with Sam Lee, the CEO and President of Northisle Copper and Gold, or NCX on the TSX Venture, and Michael Gentile, who is a leading strategic investor in the mining sector and recently made a significant investment in Northisle. So Sam, let's start with you. Why did you do this deal with Michael, and what does his support mean for Northisle?
Northisle has been looking for the right strategic partner who shares our vision for advancing our massive copper and gold project in British Columbia. Our project boasts approximately 5 billion pounds of copper equivalent, or over 9 million ounces of gold equivalent in the indicated category, and has a very attractive PEA that just scratches the surface of our 50-kilometer camp-scale porphyry district, which is adjacent to the historical BHP Island copper mine. Michael is someone who has proven success in identifying and investing in exceptional exploration and development opportunities and is well regarded in the market as a thought leader. In our view, there is very few investors with the knowledge, credibility, and the means to make significant transformational investments in companies of our stage. I strongly believe that Michael is one of those people. He identified very early the enormous potential of Arizona Metals, AMC, which is another significant copper and gold story, becoming one of their largest shareholders when the stock was trading under 20 cents. He also became a strategic advisor of the company when the stock was 67 cents, and the stock has now subsequently increased to over $5 per share within the year. I believe he sees a similar opportunity with Northisle.
Thanks so much, Sam. So Michael, over to you. Tell us about yourself and what you have been doing in the exploration sector recently. What do you look for in your bigger investments?
Yeah, I've been an active investor in the exploration and commodity sector for 20 plus years. Until 2018, I was an institutional money manager, focusing on small mid-cap companies. So typically for me, about 200 million or market cap or higher. In 2018, I left my institutional money management job for family reasons and started to invest my own capital. And I saw a huge opportunity in the junior exploration sector in particular. So companies kind of $50 million market cap and lower, which you couldn't touch as an institutional investor due to liquidity constraints. But using my institutional money management background, I tried to bring that institutional rigor or that due diligence process to the exploration sector, which is a bit of the Wild West, which is poorly researched, poorly understood, poorly followed by institutional investors. And what I tried to do is I sought to identify as early as possible companies or assets where I felt had potential to become a mine. As you may know, Jackie, 99% of assets in the junior exploration sector never become mines. So they typically trade off news flow, market sentiment, or assays. But I was really trying to work backwards from my institutional knowledge of acquiring producing assets back in the day as an institutional investor and saying what junior exploration companies had the potential trademarks or hallmarks of a producing asset. And those really for me are grade, scale, jurisdiction, management, and economics, capital versus the return on the ground and the cash flow coming out of the asset. If you can find those early on in the junior exploration sector, you can make 10, 20, 30 times your money. So I found it a very attractive space to work in, very lucrative space to identify the right opportunities. Most projects don't meet this criteria, so you have to say no way more often than you say yes. I probably say no to 99 out of 100 investments that I look at, but the rare ones like Northisle where I see that fit can become very lucrative and very profitable investments for me.
That's great, Michael. So you've been an investor in Northisle since 2020. What drew you to the story, and why are you increasing your investment now?
Yeah, I first met Sam and the team in October 2020, as you say. And I guess what really jumped out to me was, first of all, I looked quickly at the economics and felt it was a buildable mine in a very attractive jurisdiction of British Columbia. So that was the first thing. Second thing was the valuation versus the size of the opportunity was very, very low. So it's very, very cheap versus the size of the potential mine I saw potentially in operation. And the third thing, I do a lot of investments in exploration companies. So I was really equally attracted to the upside. Beyond the PEA, beyond what I think is a mine today, I saw significant greenfield exploration opportunity and brownfield exploration opportunity close to the mine, which could add tremendous amount of value, both increasing the mine life and also increasing the economics of the deposit. So that's what attracted me initially. I made my initial investment in the company.
Thanks so much for sharing. So what are your thoughts on the current market valuation of the company?
Clearly, it's the most attractive attribute to me. I think I've got my hands on a mine I think can be built. And typically when you have that situation in the market, those assets trade at very high valuations because investors quickly discount the fact this will become a producing asset in the future. At Northisle, it's very unique in the sense the stock is trading, by my calculations, off their 2021 PEA and using kind of $3 and a quarter copper and about $16.50 gold price. That's a $1.1 billion NPV. And today the market cap of Northisle is 50 million. So you're getting it sub 5% of the NPV value of the PEA, which is extremely rare. Typically, these assets trade between 0.3 and 0.8 times in the market. So a huge discount to what is a very robust PEA. But if you look at where commodity prices are actually trading today, with copper above $4 and gold above $1,800 today, that same PEA would indicate an NPV of over $2 billion. So you're trading somewhere between kind of 2% and 5% of NPV, depending on what valuation or copper price and gold price you want to use for an asset that I think is buildable and should at the very least be at the bottom end of that peer group range of 0.3 times NAV. So if you just put a 0.2 times NAV on this company, the stock price would be multiples of where it is today. So I see significant return potential in this stock as the market de-risks, understands how attractive this asset is and how buildable this asset is, that valuation gap should close and hopefully provide a good return for all of our shareholders at NCX.
Thanks so much, Michael. So what else compelled you to invest in Northisle? Were there any particular attributes or convincing points?
Yeah, no doubt. The economics we mentioned earlier, Jackie, are really strong in this project. You can see that for yourself in the PA. But beyond that, there's lots of red flags that can typically stop a project in its tracks despite having good economics. And what I loved about this project was I went through the list of things that I look for. It's ticking all the boxes. The tier one jurisdiction in BC, where you're seeing a wave of M&A recently, the major companies roll in. You have a mining-friendly government with advantageous tax regimes and good permitting kind of jurisdiction timelines. So BC is clearly a tier one jurisdiction, which is capable of building a mine. That's one. Second, there's existing infrastructure on site. When you're talking about doing $1 billion CapEx investment, it really helps to have an existing port facility 45 minutes away. It is just to have a past producing mine where that infrastructure potentially could be leveraged, which is BHP's Island Copper Mine close by to our deposit. There's a mining town close by where the workers can live and not have to live in temporary mining camps for months at a time. So you're going to be able to attract high quality workers to the project. There's hydro. It's a very accessible part of BC. Topography is good. And on top of that, you have a supportive fiscal regime where the First Nations and local Indigenous communities can benefit from development and seemingly are pro-development in this area as well. So both from a CSR and a technical standpoint, this project has a lot of attributes that's going to help it become a mine in the future. And on top of that, you've got great economics. And like I said earlier, you've got the exploration blue sky upside to make this project even better than it is now with additional discovery. So there's a lot of things going for this project. I think it's going to attract a lot of attention in the future.
Thanks so much, Michael. So Sam, over to you. Michael mentioned the conceptual block about permitting on North Vancouver Island. Can you comment on some of the attributes and challenges that you face?
So permitting on North Vancouver Island has the same standards as permitting anywhere else in British Columbia. BC is one of the best global jurisdictions to build a mine, as Michael said, with 5 producing copper and gold operations. Numerous mines have been permitted in the last 15 years, and a handful of those are in the final stages of permitting today. Gold incumbents, including Newmont and Newcrest, continue to make significant investments, as Michael alluded to, in our province. And I believe that that's based on their strong belief that British Columbia will become the epicenter of the next wave of mine development. We're adjacent to the past producing Island Copper Mine, as we mentioned, and we added Kevin O'Kane to our board last year, who was the chief mining engineer there prior to its closure. Suffice it to say, he would never have joined us if he thought that our project was not developable from a technical, social, or environmental perspective. So we continue to build support with our First Nation partners in the community for the rapid advancement of our project, which obviously is critical. We're working towards a participation agreement with First Nations, laying out the process for consultation and engagement. Our interactions to date show that locals recognize the prosperity that could be shared by all when this project moves ahead. Support for mining development from municipal, provincial, and federal governments have been clear, with copper identified as a strategic decarbonization metal, and BC a critical district with renewable, low-carbon power to support development. Copper projects located in jurisdictions that have direct access to green energy will be highly coveted, and our social license will be a direct function of that.
Thanks, Sam. So back over to you, Michael. Now, you mentioned that Pierre Boudoin is making the investment alongside you. What does that mean from your perspective?
It was a key part of my decision to make a significant additional investment in Northisle. So it's one thing for a portfolio manager like myself to say that this asset's a buildable mine, that the economics are solid, that there's a big potential return available for investors in Northisle. It's another thing when Pierre Boudoin, who's currently COO of Silvercrest, who's built multiple large open pit mines, underground mines in his career, take a look at the PEA and tell me, yeah, Mike, these numbers look realistic, and this is actually a legitimate potential PEA. As you may know, most PEAs in the industry are not worth the paper they're written on them. They have far too aggressive assumptions, and they're really marketing documents for junior exploration companies. So when a mine builder tells me that the assumptions are realistic and potentially doable, that's a huge plus, especially at the valuation where Northisle is trading today. So it's a huge opportunity, and Pierre's involvement was a big plus for my investment in Northisle.
Thanks, Michael. So Sam, as we wrap things up, any concluding remarks on what 2022 will bring?
2022 will be a very exciting year. We have reimagined our vast exploration potential in 2021, focusing on 3 exploration targets with the objectives of increasing tonnage, grade, and finding the elephant. We're still awaiting assays targeting higher grade at Northwest Expo and have almost completed our 2021 drilling at Hushamu. As I mentioned, we're working towards a participation agreement with our First Nation partners and have approved an initial 2022 exploration program that will focus on McIntosh, Northwest Expo, and Hushamu and Pemberton Hills. On the project development front, we will continue to add to the team and step up our baseline environmental work, additional metallurgical and trade-off studies, and ultimately the formal initiation of the pre-feasibility study in the first half of the year. In all, we have a lot of exciting catalysts coming up, and we really look forward to an active and successful 2022.
Thanks so much, both of you. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Mike, for your time, and thank you for joining us this morning. If you want any more information about Northisle, please visit northisle.ca or take a look on the TSX Venture at NCX. Thank you.